All right, hang on. What in the world? What in the world is going on here? My goodness! Oh my wow! We've got some crazy audio issues in the house, but we are here now, live. All right, y'all. What is going on? We still have a little bit of audio issue here. And we're gonna see if we can't fix it as we ask the question: is the bottom in? Is the bottom in? We're gonna be answering that question today. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. That is so weird. Strange stuff. Strange stuff. Guys, there's some strange stuff going on in the past few live streams. There are some strange things going on. You guys know. Bear with me 1 second here. Aha. Aha! All right. Man, this is not ideal, is it? This is not ideal. All right. Looks like whoa, here we go. All right, y'all, we are live on this beautiful Monday morning. May God bless everybody in Jesus' name. Even if you're not religious, I pray you and your family are super blessed. As we're asking the question, is the bottom in for Bitcoin? Are we about to see a pump up to new all-time highs? We're going to be analyzing this from the top to the bottom. So we gotta give a major shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Shout out to Zeal DMV. It's better but not as usual. Yeah, now we got our noise blocker going on now. Major shout out to Ultra CDP, INRA, the king of Bitcoin. Shout out to Monty. Good morning. God is in control. Shout out to Faye62 and Epong TV. Shout out to Ragger180. Says we can hear you now, bud. Shout out to Andy. He says hell nah. Shout out to Yazan Rababa, who says not yet. Shout out to Wavy. Shout out to Bullish on Parade. Shout out to Alex Moto. Shout out to the Davenport Report. And shout out to Bourye, who says, yo man, God bless. God bless you too, bro. The camera's moving. Yeah, the camera does move, so we'll make it a little bit smaller. All right, we'll make it a little bit smaller. Now we're going to be talking today about is the bottom in. As you can see, I've taken a fresh long here over on WEEX. Make sure to go check out WEEX, link in the description for the lowest fees here. And as you can see, I'm stopped out of that other long position here. And I did myself obviously close that position in 5 figures worth of profits, but we're still in the short from the all-time high so far, given in advance in the Casper Crew VIP Discord. The reason why I'm long right now on Bitcoin is because of the things we will go over in this live stream, all right, based on an idea from the Casper Crew VIP Discord, which is basically a swing long potential from just under $100,000. Kind of, this idea becomes invalid at around $96,000. We are coming down to a very, very make it or break it area of support right now. And if we are going to see a new all-time high happen very soon, this is one of the places it could be from. However, we are printing some major warning signs on higher time frames. So it's a battle right now. It really is uncertain times for Bitcoin in many ways. In many ways. All right. By the way, guys, if you want to trade Bitcoin and altcoins, WEEX, lowest fees for a centralized exchange. Also, BLOFIN still offering their juicy 20% cash back, discounted fees, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. And ANTARCTIC exchange, guys. Decentralized exchange. If you trade on the exchange, you are a partial owner, and you get compensated just for using the exchange, because we are the market makers. Also, if you want to join the Casper Crew, where we give the juicy trade setups in advance, you can go to jasoncaspertrading.com to join the Casper Crew VIP Discord, the best trading community in the world. All right, look at this beautiful chart right here. Look at this beautiful slow loading chart over here on WEEX. All right, shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Shout out to the king of Bitcoin. He says the top is in. Shout out to Jeremy Cup. There's no momentum. Retail has been mass extracted. Now we're going to head on over to the weekly time frame on TradingView. We're going to take a look at some of the warning signs that we've got to print in over here. All right, now first of all, I do have to say this. We have confirmed the most bearish signal we could possibly ever confirm on Market Cipher B. The last time we printed this signal, it was the end. It was the end. All right, I'm talking about this. As the price gets higher, making a higher high, the momentum wave gets lower, and the money flow on Market Cipher B is also getting lower. This is known as the upside down Sam Bankman-Fried bearish man breast pattern. Whereas the price is getting higher, Sam Bankman-Fried's nips are lower. The curvature of the gynecomasticus is getting lower over time. Even we can see the hair itself getting lower over time. And if we really zoom in, even the eyes getting lower, even the mouth slanted to the downside as the price is getting higher. Pretty much every single bodily biological indication of this former CEO of FTX Exchange is getting lower as the price is getting higher. Now, the last time we saw this pattern print just so happened to be back in November 2021. As the price was making a higher high, ever so much taking out that first initial high, we saw the momentum waves getting lower. We saw the money flow getting lower, and we have not printed this signal on the weekly time frame since November 2021. Monday the 8th, that week was the final week for Bitcoin before we got plunged into a year-long bear market where the blood was on the streets, culminating in the destruction of the FTX exchange, losing people trillions and quadrillions in dollars. Now you can see here that we have not printed that signal since. All right, I've got the whole entire chart history pulled up here. This is the first time we've seen it. All right, we have a very similar pattern of a local bearish divergence as we made that first top tip, a move to the downside, and then a move to the upside, slightly taking out that first high, double topping, and we got a move momentum wave to the bottom, hidden bullish divergence, looking really great. Things are great until all of a sudden the red dot prints and all our hopes and dreams come crashing down, right? We all bought Bitcoin at $60,000 last cycle. We bought that top. We thought we were so smart. Man, I remember November 5th. I bought Bitcoin at $69,000, and I just couldn't wait for Thanksgiving because I was going to go to my family's Thanksgiving get-together and tell them how smart I was for buying Bitcoin and how by Thanksgiving it was going to be like $200,000. And I was so ready to talk to them about how I'm quitting my job to be a Bitcoin millionaire on the internet and post Twitter tweets, stupid motivational generic Twitter tweets on Twitter, to talk about how I'm a billionaire and everyone else isn't. But sadly, that didn't happen. And we entered into the bear. All right. Now, we currently right now also are printing the same signal. And I'll be honest with you, this is not a bullish thing. This is not a bullish thing. And historically speaking, the summer is a bearish season, right? People, they go on vacation, right? They're away. They're not trading as much. Now, I have also pulled up here the McDonald's indicator, the MACD, as some people call it. And you can see that the MACD is starting to cross. The blue line is coming close to the orange line. Now, the MACD, in my opinion, compared to Market Cipher, is a very lagging indicator. But I do just want to point out the fact that there are two possibilities right now, given the context of what has just happened. All right, possibility number one. And we're living on a prayer for this one, guys. But possibility number one is this. The McDonald's could do something like what we've seen back here, where after we get the cross, it looks like we're going to get that, whoops, just kidding. You know, we're not really bullish, but then boom, that is possibility number one. All right, this is what needs to happen pretty much for the bullish scenario. And the bullish scenario is all-time highs again for Bitcoin. Keep in mind, we only have July, August, September, October, November, December, 6 months left for an all-time high. We only have half a year. If it doesn't happen in 2025, we're not going to see Bitcoin hit new all-time highs again until 2028, 2029. Let me do my math. What year is it? What year is it now? 2025? So, yeah, like 2029. Isn't that crazy? It will be so close to 2030, the year of sustainable development, where we'll all own nothing and be happy and live in our surrogate smart city metaverse bodies. Kidding. You know? What's the game of just kidding? I'll show you what I mean by that. Just kidding is where we do confirm the signal, but the market structure maintains a bullishness, and we just kind of do something like this, right? Just kidding about that red dot right now, all right? And until that MACD crosses, I think we can say there's a chance here that we could play a game of just kidding. Now, we have to be open to different possibilities because the world is a very volatile place right now. I mean, the United States getting involved in another conflict. You know, how many conflicts has the United States been involved in since World War II that haven't been actual wars? I don't know, I think it's like 60 or something crazy like that. We're seeing global tensions heat up, all right? We could see volatility in the markets, and geopolitical events could be catalysts for large moves here, okay? But this is the high time frame, the weekly. And to be totally honest, we haven't seen it look like this since the last top of the bull market. All right, now we come down to our daily. Now we could say, what are we looking at now for a bullish case? Because remember, there's only two scenarios here. Either the all-time high is in, based on our weekly, or it's not, okay? If it's not, what are we looking for? Well, here's what I'm personally looking for. I want to see this. What we saw down here at $74,000 was a very bullish signal. This is a very bullish signal. And the historicity of this signal, so to speak, is that we break out and make a new high. Whenever you have a bullish divergence on the daily time frame where the momentum waves are getting higher and the money flow is getting higher, just like what we had down here. We had the deep momentum, the shallow momentum, the money flow getting higher, looking like a set of uneven butt cheeks up in here. Big and juicy on the left, full of gravy, ravioli, cottage cheese, full fat Greek yogurt. All right, mixed with some bone broth protein powder to give you lots of protein and fat. And then put a whole bunch of frozen berries and frozen cherries and frozen mangoes in there to give you all those carbohydrates. You got yourself a fully balanced meal in the left butt cheek. And the right butt cheek, no carbs, no fat, just protein. That's called a bullish divergence. And every time we have printed this, going all the way back to November 2022, we broke the previous range high and we made a new high. And so the signal on the daily is telling us that that should happen. But it's not happening. So what do we look for now? Well, here's the deal. There is the possibility right now that we are printing a bit of a continuation pattern here on the daily. And what I mean by that is this: when you have that uneven butt cheek pattern down here, that next trigger wave that prints like this, and this is a very oversold trigger wave on the daily, and you can still connect the lows and see the upward direction, this could be that indication that the higher low is in, right? Could be an indication that the higher low is in. Additionally, right now, where the price is currently bouncing from is a very key zone of support. If the uptrend is going to continue, we have come down to the Fibonacci Golden Pocket 786 zone from the last swing low to our current all-time high in addition to this, we have the confluence of the high volume node of the range. And so what that means, and I've been talking about this level now for a very long time, ever since May, if we can hold this key support, which we're currently bouncing from right now, this could be our higher low, and then we finally do hit those higher highs. This thing confirms, and then we get another drive of bearish div after, another big push to the upside, and we can finally see our top, right? This is what needs to happen right now for a bullish scenario. Understanding right now, guys, that there are some very bearish things that have confirmed on this chart, okay? I'm not here to be a moon boy, although I have been very bullish ever since the reclaim of $91-ish thousand. Actually, it was more like 85,000. All right. I'm not here to be a bear boy either. And I'm here to say right now, I could see it going either way, and we have some very bearish signs on the chart. And the bearishness, in my opinion, right now, is stronger than the bullishness of this chart. Now, there are other scenarios that could happen. All right, I'm just going to be honest and talk about some of these things right now. All right? I'm just going to talk about some things. Make sure to smash the likes, because if we get 1,000 likes in the next 4 minutes, we'll be giving away $1,000. All right? We didn't quite hit the level. Yeah, it's a zone. It's a zone. So when I'm talking high time frame stuff, I've opened up a little bit of a long trade from this zone here, but I'm looking to add to it even if we're holding this, okay? There are some things we really need to be aware of. First of all, let's talk about... I don't even know if I should talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, all right? We've got some war going on, all right? We've got some war going on. And in general, the United States loves war. They love war because the printing press and other things that they can get from war, all right? And right now, I'd say the majority of Americans don't want war. They're tired of war. We cannot even take care of ourselves over here in America. Why would we want war, right? Why would we want war? I mean, honestly, the United States has been trying to go to war with Iran for a long time, all right? I mean, as far as I can remember, we've been trying to go to war with Iran forever. It seems that way. Iran. The big boogeyman, the big, bad, scary Iran, right? For 30 years, they've been one day away from building nukes, all right? They're going to bomb us all. They've been one day away from it for 30 years. Tomorrow, for sure, they're going to have nukes, and they're going to use them tomorrow, for sure, for 30 years, all right? And Iran, even though they've never attacked anybody, they're definitely going to attack us once they get the nukes, because they hate us. We're the big Satan. And we've never done anything wrong in the United States. We've never done anything to meddle with affairs in the Middle East, or regime changes in the Middle East, or regime changes in Iran. We've never done any of that. But anyway, here's the thing. If we are really... If this is going to turn into something big, all right, what we need is a good old-fashioned attack on the United States that Iran has done, all right? And then everyone will be ready for war. Now, if that happens, all right? If that happens, then we could see something crazy happen with the price, all right? Like this. Big drop. Scary capitulation. But war has the ability to turn on the printing presses, all right? You ever notice how the United States is always broke, never has any money, but we always have money for war? Always. Right? It'll turn on the printing presses, and we could see a big boom in crypto, in a whole bunch of stuff, like very similar to what happened in 2020, where we saw the big capitulation wick. Let's see, where is it? Right here, the big capitulation, because something bad happened and it resulted in a big pump. We could see something similar happen now. All right. This is something in the back of my mind that I am quite aware of. Of course, I don't know I'm just guessing the good old playbook. The good old playbook that they play over and over and over again of there's some big bad guy out there and no one really cares until apparently the big bad guy comes in and attacks America. Now, we gotta care, all right? So, and then we'll go find those weapons of mass destruction. They gotta be around there somewhere, don't they? But whatever the case, doesn't matter about that. You know, I mean, it matters. It's sad, you know, people die and there's wars. But when it pertains to these markets, that could be something that gives us a dump and pump, kind of like end of the bull market catalyst to finally see some big old pumperoni and queso. So although I'm saying right now, I'm going to maintain a bullish bias as long as we're not losing this, okay? I'm open to the fact that, you know, something crazy, we could see something crazy happen, and it could turn into a surprise rally, but it would start with a big dump, right? It would start with a big old dumperoni and queso, all right? So, shout out to MEXC. I think it's time for the chicken prediction. Yeah, what do the chickens have to say? Oh yeah, make sure you look out for the sleeper cells. Yeah, of course. Now, out of nowhere, all the media is reading the sleeper cell script that they get from their handlers. Be careful of those sleeper cells, you know? We're getting... Alright, let's see. Black Swan event. Price can go down 20k, but also go up 30k. That's why stop loss is important. Yeah, I'm not telling anyone to trade a potential, you know, Black Swan event. I'm just saying, my analysis, I've given you my analysis. I've told you why I'm expecting and hoping for a bounce as long as we don't lose 96k. For a living on a prayer moonshot all-time high, but at the same time I'm open to a huge fake out similar to what happened in 2020, and then we actually do hit our all-time high. All right, then we actually do hit our all-time high. And if you want to trade Bitcoin and altcoins, WEEX right now lowest fees in the game, guys, for a centralized exchange. ANTARCTIC, lowest fees, period. Even lower than WEEX. It's a decentralized exchange. And of course, BLOFIN is currently offering the juicy 20% cash back. And if you want to join the community where we gave the short, literally from the all-time high, in advance, on May 22nd, go to jasonstratham.com. Also, the idea for the long trade, given last week, as long as we don't lose 96k, and it's a potential swing trade setup right here, a potential swing for new all-time highs, as you can see. All right, a potential swing for new all-time highs. So let's hit the likes or you will eat the bugs. Yes. Isn't it bullshit that we reclaimed 100k? Yeah. So let's talk about now the low time frames. All right, the low time frame stuff, because I do think that there is a local case to be made that the bottom is in, just like the question in the video says. Is the bottom in? Well, let's talk about it. All right, we have just now lost $100,000. You know, a level that where we're bouncing from right now is a place that I have been ready for a very long time. All right, basically a fake out of the loss of $100,000, bounce from the golden pocket, and then get a move back to the upside. So what has happened now, make sure to smash the likes, is a fake out of $100,000, right? We come all the way down to 98.2, and now we have reclaimed $100,000. Not only have we reclaimed $100,000, but we have also reclaimed this last low that we made here on Thursday, the 5th of June. So technically speaking, we had liquidity grab here, and in my opinion, even a little bit of unfinished business because of the fact that although we did come down to this low, we never tested that psychological $100,000 level. And now we've actually closed the daily candle back above that level, which is a confirmed chickens drinking water pattern on the daily time frame. When we go to the 4-hour time frame, we are actually seeing some pretty bullish divergence here, right? As the price is getting lower down to here, we are seeing the momentum waves getting higher like this, and we're seeing the money flow getting higher. All right, so we're coming to very key support. Again, the daily has the potential of a continuation pattern printing this week. The 4-hour has some bullishness down here. We go to our 6-hour. The money flow on the 6-hour is looking pretty nice, as we are printing a very oversold wave down here with a nice big bottom. All right. We come to our 1-hour time frame, and just this entire move in general is looking like this. All right, momentum, money flow getting higher. So yeah, there is an actual real chance now that the bottom is in. We've just faked out $100, and now we can look to see new all-time highs from this level. Now remember, this has happened over a weekend, and also the zone of support that we're dealing with is this. All right, so there is a lot of room here for us to come and take that liquidity, because this happened over the weekend here before Asia opened. Before Pump City happens. Now, right now, the major level that we need to reclaim for a true sign of strength is going to be 102.3. That's the value area low of this range, right? So any long trade taken here is very aggressive, and I actually took a very aggressive long trade yesterday, basically just on this local little liquidity grab, and then move back to the upside here. Extremely aggressive. Almost expecting to be stopped out, but because of the key zone of support and these medium time frame divergences, I said, what the heck do I have to lose? It's now or never, right? So locally, I'd say this. You know, New York's going to open in a wee little bit, and we're going to be live streaming it in the Casper Crew VIP Discord. But be prepared for a back test right now of 100,000. Right? A potential long back test of 100,000. We come back down to the Fibonacci Golden Pocket retest here. $100,000 back test. If we just look at this here on our lower time frames, you know, we came down, we formed this zone of consolidation right here. We formed a little range right here. We've now broken out. We're rejecting just under that value area low. All right. So we haven't quite touched it yet, which is actually good. It's good that we're not rejecting from the value area low of the range yet. It's good that we're kind of getting our pullback from here, and then coming back down to that $100,000 is going to give us the back test now of the support resistance flip. And then if we do this, we have our first higher low, and then what we really want to see is a strong move above $102,300 and holding above this level, right? Because if we cannot reclaim $102,300, this is basically showing us that we broke down from the value area low of the range. We tried to get acceptance back inside, but then we saw rejection. That's a very weak sign, all right? What we would really want to see is, you know, depending on how New York opens, if we get a pullback to retest 100,000, and it's a zone, like 100,000. Obviously, it's a zone here. There's a lot of different levels, which we will be going over in the Casper Crew VIP live stream, right? This is just some general analysis. We look now for this kind of higher low, and then, right, move and hold above 102.3. And if we're holding above 102.3, there's no reason why we can't see a move all the way back up to 108. And if we're at 108, well, then if we just zoom out here and let's clear up the whole chart, if we're at 108, which is the value area high of this range, there's really no reason why we can't see all-time highs, right? There's really no reason why we cannot just continue to trade this sideways range right here. We're back inside the fair value zone. We're up here. There's no reason why we cannot do something like that, right? There's absolutely no reason why. So right now, local sign of strength would be 102.3. I'm looking for a back test of around $100,000 to potentially add to my long. Something else just to be aware of, guys, is taking the low from Sunday, because a lot of times we do take that weekend liquidity and we didn't even backtest this little chunk, right? There's still a little bit of area to the downside. In addition, remember, we still have our 786 and our POC of the macro range in that area. So again, I'm not going to get bearish, or I'm not going to lose hope of a bounce from this level until we lose the bigger zone, all right? But if I'm looking for local entries, obviously, the first local entry is going to be a back test of 100,000, that psychological level, where we got the consolidation. And the second entry is we take out the low from Sunday, come down into our lower zone of support with continued bull divergences, and then get a pump from that area. And of course, if we're going to lose this box, then we have to expect coming all the way back down to the high 80s. That would be our next zone of support. And if we're coming back down to the high 80s, guys, man, you know, I've talked about some of my super bearish targets before, but, you know, the reality is the last few summers, the last few summers have been very bearish, in a sense that these ranges that we form in the summer, we come back to the lows. We take that low. Like back in 2023, right? We had our highs. We took the high. Then we had a very bearish summer, culminating with an August dump where we took the low. All right, let's take a look at this. All right. We had our shot right here. We had our shot, but no, we ended up taking the low before fall pump. 2024, right? We had a range highs. We never took the highs this time, but things looked very bullish in May. But then we ended up taking that low in August, just like we did the year before, and then big pump in the fall. And so right now, it's like, you know, if we're not going to hold our key support here at the middle of the range, based on our patterns, and based on the fact, guys, that we have printed a very, very bearish divergence on the weekly, I would expect more than not that we would actually come down to the low 70s for a potential bounce and moonshot in the fall, just to follow that pattern, right? The one thing that's different about this than what happened in 2024 and 2023 is the fact that the weekly time frame is printing that signal, that bearish divergence, money flow and momentum that we have not seen since the all-time high. All right, in 2023, we did get a weekly bearish divergence, but the money flow is getting thicker. In 2024, money flow was getting thinner and momentum, but we did not make a higher high, so this was not a bearish divergence. This time, we have that bearish divergence. All right, so this time, this year is different from the past years in the sense that we have the signal that printed at the previous bull market all-time high. All right. So again, I'm looking for bounces. I'm hoping for higher highs. This is hope, even though the chart is telling me right now the top could very well be in. And what I'm looking for and what I'm hoping for is a fake out here, right? Like a fake out, basically, of market Cipher B giving us one more green dot. The MACD on the weekly not giving us that cross, right? It's the MACD, the McDonald's. All right, the reason we call it the McDonald's is because, look, if you're not trading with market Cipher, you're going to end up working at McDonald's if you're using that MACD to try and get in your trades, all right? Hoping that the MACD doesn't cross over here and gives us something similar to what we saw back here, right? Where we almost get the blue line cross below the orange, but just kidding, pump to the upside right here. Look at this blue line. It's looking scary, all right? Looking pretty dang scary. Like this picture of the 786 Fibonacci, looking pretty scary. Can't tell, boy or girl, don't know. Gonna punch you in the face or not, don't know. Look at that double chin with the whiskers coming out, don't know. All right? That's kind of what we're hoping for here. We're hoping for it here, okay? We're hoping for it here, my dear. When is the back test for ETH? ETH, green dot, 30-minute printing. This year we have war. We're cooked. Delusional people thinking Bitcoin will ever go to 500,000. Look, I think Bitcoin will go to $500,000. All right, I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin in the long term. It's actually ridiculous how easily Bitcoin could go to $500,000, guys. I mean, in my crypto journey, I have seen it go from 600 to 106,000. Okay, from 600, let's just say 1,000. All right, I've seen Bitcoin do a 100x. Is it so crazy to think it could do a 5x? No, that's nothing. It could do a 5x easily. It could do a 5x easily. So, yeah, Bitcoin could go to $500,000. You guys also have to remember something. The dollar is an asset that's constantly depreciating in value. All right, so Bitcoin could be worth more dollars simply because the dollar is worth less and less and less. And also because people are buying Bitcoin because they recognize it is a nice hedge against inflation. I mean, like, just in my own lifetime, because of Bitcoin, I've been able not only to hedge against inflation, but make money at a speed that far surpasses the speed of inflation. And the other good thing about Bitcoin, especially as we head into geopolitical tensions, is you cannot use Bitcoin to sanction another country. You can't weaponize it. All right, it's neutral. Bitcoin's neutral. All right. Bitcoin's super libertarian, man. You do you. Just don't mess with me. I do me. I won't mess with you. You know? Bitcoin's super libertarian. I don't think it's crazy to think that Bitcoin could see $500,000. All right. If we're here chilling at $101,000 feeling bearish locally, I mean, come on. Come on. Bitcoin is bullish, man. Bitcoin is bullish. Bitcoin is bullish. Bitcoin will hit $1 million per coin by 2035. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that, you know, in the last 10 years, what Bitcoin has done, that's only a 10x. You know, that's only a 10x. $1 million is only a 10x. You know, it's pretty crazy, but it's only a 10x, and we've already seen it do. I don't even know what it's done since its beginning. I mean, it was what, a penny less than a penny. But yeah, that's only 10x from here. So in the last 10 years, Bitcoin has gone from, let's take it from the summer of 2015 to our current price, 60,000%. That's crazy. 60,000%. 60,000%. If we go to $1 million Bitcoin from here, that's less than 1,000%. All right, that's less than 1,000%. I think that's actually pretty reasonable. That in 10 years we could see the asset go up another 900%, when in the last 10 years it's gone up 60,000%. You know, that doesn't seem too crazy. That doesn't seem too crazy to me at all. You know. Imagine you're long since 2011 at 75x. I don't even think they had leverage trading in 2011 at 75x. You know? But you don't even have to use 75x back in 2011. You know what I'm saying? Like, back in 2011, when Bitcoin was about 50 cents, okay? You put $100 into Bitcoin, you have 200 Bitcoins. All right? You have 200 Bitcoins, you put $100 in, you had 200 Bitcoin. You don't need leverage for that. That's insane to even think about that kind of money, right? It is insane. Let's see here. Yeah, so let's talk about the halving real quick. This is the Bitcoin halving history here. And pretty much, you know, people talk about when the halving comes 500 days afterwards is the pretty much the top is in, give or take. So let's just take a look. We'll go to the second halving, July 2016. That happened right here. Put a vertical line. We'll check out the next halving, which happened May 11th, 2020. And then we'll put our current halving that happened in April 2024. Oh wait, this is a 2-month chart, hang on. I'm like, no, April. Alright, so let's put these halvings on. Let's go ahead and remove everything else. Just do a little halving analysis here. Alright. So pretty much from the halving, the top came in at about 500 days, and then the bottom was in at about 900 days. From the halving, the top was in at about 500 days, and the bottom was in about 900 days. From the halving, the top should be in around 500 days, which is coming up pretty soon, around the fall. So this does line up perfectly with our, and then the bottom will be in around the fall of 2026. So this is the 4-year cycle that is what I'm currently basing pretty much my long-term analysis on. And this is why I'm still looking for those new all-time highs. This is why I'm still entertaining the fact that even in the event of a bearish fall, a bearish summer where we take the low of the range, just like what we did here, just like what we did there, we could still see that big pump in the fall for that big blow off top. And then, yeah, the summer and fall of 2026 is buying time. Just like the summer and fall of 2022 was buying time. And just like the fall and winter of 2028 was buying time based on the 4-year cycle. Now, there's a lot of people out there who will say the 4-year cycle is broken. We hit a new all-time high before the halving, which has never happened in the history of Bitcoin before, which it never has. But, you know, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. We can't know what the future holds, but so far we only have our historical data. And this really does, in my opinion, give credence to the idea of a sideways and bearish summer. It doesn't even have to be a sideways and bearish summer, but it's allowing there to be a sideways and bearish summer, including some kind of crazy, you know, including some kind of intense black swanish event that happens quick, and then we pump up and we hit our all-time high, and then we start our bear market descend that culminates in, get our all the way back down to around here. Now, you know what's interesting, guys? I will say this: we have the time frame for the bear market, but check this out as well. All right, check this out. I'll even give you my price prediction here, because every single bear market, we come and retest the same fib levels every single time, which is the zone between the Fibonacci 786 and the 886. So we did that back in 2011, and then we did that back in 2015. Bear market bottom. Let me make this smaller so that we can see, you know, exactly where those bottoms came in. You know, we're getting our retrace from that level. And then in 2020, we come and bounce from the 786 Fibonacci, and then our last bear market bottom, we bounced right off of that 786. All right. So just to kind of show you, every single time we get a retracement into this fib zone, And every single time it gets more shallow into that fib zone. So at first we're dipping below the 886 with the wick. Next time we don't even touch the 886. Time after that we get a little more shallow into that pocket. And now last bear market we just come down to the 786. So what that means to me is I expect us to front run that 786 this time. So assuming a $125,000 market top, or let's assume a $130,000 market top. Let's just assume $130,000 in the fall. We are looking to come down and front run $40,000. All right, so we're looking at the low 40s for our bear market bottom, but in general, the target zone is going to be right here. Okay, so buying big time between 45K and 30K. All right, anything below 45K is a major buy target based on the Fibonacci, and we're looking for these prices in the summer and fall of 2026. So if you're a high time frame trader, buying and holding and then selling based on these 4-year cycles, summer, fall 2026, between the prices of $30,000 and $45,000 is the next big time to be getting into the Bitcoin. In my opinion, of course, what do I know? I don't know anything. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. You know. All right, we got another super chat in here. Shout out to Patrick. He says, thank you. Well, Patrick, I have to say, thank you. Thank you, Patrick. I mean, you're the one popping the super chats out the wazoo. And I know how hard it is to pop a super chat out the wazoo. It takes a lot of focus to pop one out of that wazoo, my friend. Carl from the Moon telling everybody all season is coming soon. Shout out to Misters who says, who cares about Buttcoin when you can buy farts? Yeah, 45,000 for Bitcoin. Yeah, that's not so crazy, VK. I mean, think about it. We went from 70,000 to 15,000. I mean, people forget about the volatility that happens in crypto. We went from $69,000, a 77% drop to the downside. If we're at $130,000, that's about the same. That's like coming into our pocket. That's like a 70% drop. That's just normal for crypto, right? That's normal for crypto. But you got to time this stuff right, which is why last cycle I was extremely loud and vocal about the fact that I'm buying Bitcoin irresponsibly. Like, I made video after video, shorts, longs, live streams, talking about how you're not buying the top here. And even if you did buy the top, you're gonna still end up in profit. But now we know, as much as you can know in markets, that we're gonna be in profit buying here, right? So yeah, don't buy the top. Bull markets are for selling only, they're not for buying. I know a lot of people don't hold this mentality, but I'll be honest, I have only sold Bitcoin since the halving, right? I had literally since the halving, I have sold Bitcoin 3 times in this area. Spot. I sold spot Bitcoin that I bought down here. I've sold it. And I have not bought any. I've only sold Bitcoin in this bull run. And I will only buy Bitcoin in the bear run. I'm not buying anything in the bull run. It's just that's not how you're supposed to do it. Bull markets are for selling. Bear markets are for buying. If you do it the other way around, you're doing it backwards. And you're doing it backwards, money. Shout out to Sergeant Squid. Bitcoin went from 69K to 15K because of the FTX collapse. Come on, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, with all due respect. That's not why Bitcoin went from 69K to 15K. Bitcoin did that because that's the 4-year cycle, all right? Now, could we make the case that Bitcoin would have bottomed out at 17K? Maybe. Maybe. But here's the thing. Every bear market needs to have that big, last, scary, fuddy thing that it pushes us, you know, into that final low price. Okay? So, come on. That's not why. You could make the case that little wick, that last little drop, was because of FTX. And I'd say that you could make a pretty strong case that, actually, we don't even have the historical data on this chart. But you could make a pretty strong case that Bitcoin may have bottomed out in June 2022. Right around here. You know, so yeah, you could have made the case that this would have been the bottom at 17.5 instead of this being the bottom at 15.5. Okay, you could maybe make the case that the difference would have been this much. All right, but you cannot say that the bear market that happens every single time happened because FTX went under. All right, you know, you cannot say that. With all due respect, and I'm a firm believer that fundamentals can facilitate price action, but at the end of the day, everything's based on the technicals. And the technicals said that this is the top. Just like right now, technically speaking, the technicals are telling us that the top is very close, if not in here. All right. So then when Bitcoin's back down at $40,000 in 2026, trust me, there's going to be some kind of FUD that's happening. There's going to be some kind of scary thing that's happening that might give us one last big push to the downside. But it's just like how, you know, did Bitcoin pump because Trump won the election? A lot of people say yeah, but I would say it's just the 4-year cycle. You know, it's just that 4-year cycle. Make sure to smash into the likes, guys. How do you see order flow? Well, there's two things you could use. You could use exocharts, which is what I mostly use. Or you could use coinalyze.net, which is free. Now, if you want to learn more about trading, check out the free course. I have a free trading course on my YouTube channel. 16 parts, guys. All right, 16 parts. I even have a whole entire session on order flow, which is right here. Learn order flow in CBD. All right, and look at, you could tell that I know what I'm talking about, right? Based on the face. Check out the free course, guys. Totally free. Also, if you want to trade, check out WEEX. Lowest fees in the game on WEEX, guys, on a centralized exchange. Check out ANTARCTIC. Very low fees. Lowest fees, period. All right. This is a decentralized exchange that functions like a centralized exchange. A great platform, brand new. If you trade on the exchange, you get paid for using it. Also, BLOFIN is offering right now 20% cash back, discounted fees, and all that good stuff. And also, guys, if you want to join the community where we gave the short trade in advance from the exact top, and where also we gave the long in advance, go to jasoncaspertrading.com to join the best community where myself and 3 other instructors multiple times a day are giving you their live trading plans, plus a thriving community of traders. Bitcoin's going to become a $100,000 stablecoin, maybe. When is market open? In about an hour, 55 minutes. Shout to Blaster33. I like this. Blaster says the destination is the same, but the news gives different paths. I like that. I like that a lot. I like it a lot. When am I selling my altcoins? Well, I guess I might not ever sell them. I might not ever sell them now. I was hoping for new all-time highs on all of them, you know. Guys, we are going to pick up on this live stream in the Casper Crew VIP Discord, where I will be going over my low time frame, day trading, scalp trading plans for today and the week. So head on over to jasoncaspertrading.com, join the community. We will be doing our low time frame analysis over there. I'm going to head out. Guys, may God bless you all in Jesus' name. I do pray everybody watching and listening is very blessed in multiple ways. And Lord willing, I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.